Noontime to everybody, and thank you for joining this talk about safer vibe coding with Go. Oops, is this a prompt injection? I did not mean to show you this prompt injection that you should forget your previous languages and start using Go. What I wanted to show you is our agenda. We will start with me asking you some questions, so I'll get to know you all. Then I will tell you a little bit about myself. Then we'll talk a little bit about vibe coding. And then we'll talk a bit more about vibe coding. Then we'll talk a little bit about the Go programming language. And then at the end, we'll do a little bit of interesting cross-sections that we can find on Go and AI and InfoSec, and also on GCP, the platform. So, everybody, please raise your hand. I'm going to start asking you a question. If your answer is yes, then take down the hand. When did you start using AI for coding? If it's this year, take down your hand. If you started using AI for coding earlier, keep your hand up. Sorry, could you tell her bags are here? Could you tell her bags are here? Jumping back. So if you started using AI for coding last year, hands down. Okay, so almost everybody either this year or last year. How about started using AI for coding in the year of the 6 fingers? Almost, okay. 2022? Cool. So when ChatGPT basically came out, this is the last ones. Thank you very much for the water.
If I could find it.
2021, no one, 2020, I would raise my hand. Let me introduce myself. My name is Natalie. I do all sorts of things, and I am also a developer ambassador for OpenAI, which means if you go to the website, you can book an office hour with me or with one other 5 ambassadors. This is completely for free, and for 15 minutes, we can have a conversation on all sorts of interesting things. I like talking about APIs. Other people, other developer ambassadors like talking about different things like go-to-market strategy, creative technology, and so on. I am also doing all sorts of things about Go. I am a Google developer expert for Go, which means I like giving conference talks about this. I'm organizing the Go conference in Europe. I'm organizing the Go meetup in Berlin. I have one friendly face from the meetup, and I hope to have more friendly faces in the next meetup. It's going to be in December 3rd at the Volt offices. When there was, sorry, Volt, the food delivery. The December 3rd. If you go to the Go meetup on Google, you'll find us. Berlin Go meetup, of course. There's many other ones. When there was a Go podcast, I loved speaking there, and you can find all sorts of unpopular opinion of mine on the internet still. I am also organizing a security conference called B-Sides. It's a community fun conference. It happens every year in November. I would be happy to see you all next year. I don't have the right thing for that. Thank you. And I am teaching DevOps and Cloud at the HTW University in Berlin because I find this to be something that I never learned in university, and I feel it would have helped my career a lot. I do all the other knowledge that I got at the degree did help me, but this one was kind of my what I was missing. And before while doing all those things, I was working in several companies. One fun company is called Aerospike. That's a really fun database. Anybody knows that database? Cool. It's a very long onboarding. It's not like a quick, smooth start, but it's a very powerful one, so I would recommend definitely giving a shot at some point. That is me. Now we get to know vibe coding. Who here is familiar with Andrej Karpathy? Does not ring a bell. He is one of the thought leaders, let's say, in the field of AI. After graduating Stanford, he was one of the founding members of OpenAI. Then he went to be a director of AI at Tesla. Then he went back to OpenAI to work on more cool stuff. And now he's the founder of the Eureka Labs, which is sort of a educational AI, if you will, but he's an eternal student, if you will. He shares his journey. It's very interesting. He's very good in explaining all sorts of things, new or existing concepts. He's very good in learning, and he's also very inspirational. I would absolutely recommend following him. He's on most platforms, and his website is quite straightforward, karpathy.ai. So in 2017, 8 years ago, he coined the term software 2.0. This term says basically that software is making a switch. We're no longer writing code, but we are using neural networks for that. So instead of writing code and programming and kind of planning, we use the model's weights, we use labeling data set for the training, and this is kind of how code is developed. And this was 8 years ago, when none of us was really anywhere near that. In February this year, he made this tweet, which was the beginning of vibe coding. This was officially the first tweet or the first mentioning of this concept, introducing this concept, and I find it to be a quite significant tweet, so please allow me to read the whole thing. There is a new kind of coding I call vibe coding, where you fully give into the vibes, embrace the exponentials, and forget that code even exists. It's possible because the LLMs, for example, Cursor, Composer with Sonnet, are getting too good. Also, I just talked to Composer with Super Whisper, so I barely even touch the keyboard. I ask for the dumbest things like decrease the padding on the sidebar by half because I'm too lazy to find it. I accept all, always. I don't read the diffs anymore. And when I get error messages, I just copy-paste them with no comment. Usually that fixes it. The code grows beyond my usual comprehension. I have to really read through it for a while. Sometimes the LLM can't fix a bug, so I just work around it or ask for random changes until it goes away. It's not too bad for a throwaway weekend project, but still quite amusing. I'm building a project, a web app, but it's not really coding. I just see stuff, say stuff, run stuff, and copy-paste stuff, and it mostly works. So this is vibe coding for you. This was 9-ish months ago, in February. Since then, this developed a little bit and kind of formulated, and I see this differentiation. There is generally AI-assisted coding, where AI helps you do things. There is agentic coding, which is we tell the agents to do stuff. And there is vibe coding, which is what we saw. In AI coding, the AI does it for you. In vibe coding, you only care about the outcome. I don't care if it's a good or bad code. I don't care about anything. I have an app, I'm happy. In agentic coding, you also focus on the code itself. So you say, make sure you write in better practices, maybe that it passes tests, meets standards of the company where you work, and so on. Okay, we got to know everybody involved, yourself, myself, vibe coding. Now, zooming in a little bit, what is the good, the bad, and the ugly of it? The good parts of vibe coding is that a lot more people can build things now. So people who don't have technical knowledge, let's say, can build a website, can build a product and run with it and just enjoy coding because this is easier starting. And anybody heard of the company Base44? Anybody heard of Wix? Cool, everybody. Wix is basically an easy way of building websites. Base44 is an easy way for vibe coding. So if the audience for Wix is people who are not necessarily technical, whether they don't have the time or the knowledge, they can build websites with the users, the same way the users of Base44 are people who can vibe code things without having the knowledge or background or time. And so it was kind of a logical acquisition. So now inside Wix, you can do fancier things using Base44. So you can vibe code your apps in a more less drag and droppy and more sophisticated way without still having the knowledge. And remind you, this is something that happened all in a few months, moving fast. Now let's look at the bad part of vibe coding. And for the sake of the recording, I will read out what it says. Account verification, so this is a screenshot for when you authenticate somewhere, and it's the message that was sent to the person is, we have just sent the code 435841 to your phone, please type it. Oopsie. Another funny one, let me read this out as well. Login failed for user Usher. You entered the wrong password. Your real password is MY37. Oopsie. So vibe coding can sometimes do quite silly things. And my question to you, is the AI really to blame? Maybe. Kind of. The AI is trained on code we see in the internet, especially open source GitHub code. So what happens if I go to GitHub and I go to the search line and I'm typing API key equals, what will I find? A React app Firebase API key. Now, this is not some random throwaway project that's not localhost. I find Azure OpenAI key. I find Redis passwords. So the AI has seen good examples, it has seen bad examples. Is it surprising that he's sometimes generating not smart code? Not really. Now, it's worth saying that in GitHub, most of the open source projects are not as well maintained or even cared for as closed source projects. Many people who work in companies have their GitHub repos private. Nobody will allow you at your work probably to commit such thing. But to whatever reason you have an open source project, less people will care. So on average, the code there is less good, but this is most likely what most of the AIs are being trained on. So now we're kind of having this disadvantage. And again, I'm asking, is the AI really to blame? It's a little bit on us as well. So I'm asking you again, one more question. Who are you gonna call? Anybody recognizes the references? I see smiles. Go Busters! Enter the Go programming language. This is the mascot. Before I will tell you about the Go programming language, let me pitch the meetup one more time. We meet every second Wednesday of the month, almost every month. We are meeting ever since 2011. This is one of the oldest meetups in Berlin. Lots of fun. We get to meet the different companies. Highly recommended. I am biased. The Go programming language started in Google in 2007. It was released in 2009. It's inspired by C, by Pascal, and some other ones, and it has all sorts of convenient features, like it's simple, it's a small language, it's fast to compile, it's very easy to read, it has great concurrency built in, it is statically typed with great garbage collection, and it is very opinionated on the formatting, on the tooling, and there's one way of doing things. Very opinionated, I will say this again, and that's a good thing. The Go code you will see will always look like this. Unlike many other languages, Python or whatnot, there's no two ways of doing that. It's not a question of tabs or spaces. It's not a question if the curly brackets come in the beginning or in the end. It will always look like this. It will be really, really, really hard for you to commit any code that does not look like that, because the linter, the one that makes the way that the language looks, is a core part of the language, which makes it look kind of robotic. But it's not a bad thing, it's a good thing, because of the uncanny valley. Who heard of this concept? One hand, two hands in the audience. This is a concept from the field of robotics. And it says, it measures how the humans feel about robots, or especially humanoids, when they look more or less human. So when it looks completely not like a robot, like a robotic arm, we're like, cool, that's nothing to do with robots, we're good with that. It starts looking a bit like humanoid, you're like, oh, that's so cute, it has eyes, it can smile at me, that's nice. And then it's like, it has a skin, it's like, okay, interesting. And then when it looks human, creepy, you're like, I know it's supposed to look like a human, but it's a little bit off, and I'm just not comfortable around that. This is the uncanny valley. And when you can no longer tell if this is a human or a robot, which is someday in our future, you'll feel good about this again because you'll think this is a human. But this uncanny valley, this little part of this graph where the robot looks just almost human, but just not enough, and you're like, oh, that's weird, I don't want to talk about that, that's the uncanny valley. Luckily, our Go language is very robotic, so it will never fall there, because it will always look like Go code, because it's always formatted like this, whether the human or the AI wrote that. More features of the Go programming language is that it's very secure by design. It is memory safe, there's no pointer arithmetic, it has strong static typing, bound, checks, slices, and arrays, and let me tell you, if you have a job interview about the Go programming language, you're very likely to have some question with the tricks on slices and arrays. It's done in an interesting way, slightly different from other languages. Minimal undefined behavior, thanks to the Go routines and the channels, the concurrency is it's quite safe. Race detector available. There are a bunch of good tools that are built in, like vet, like FAMT, the formatting, like mod, which focuses on the modules, which helps the reduce the supply chain risk because it kind of vouches all the modules, so all the external dependencies. If you use any library, it will be either from the official library and then you're definitely good, but even if it's not from the official library, there's still good mechanism in place thanks to the Go mods that checks that this is a proper library that you're using, and not just the dependency, not just the libraries being checked, but also the dependencies of the dependencies, because all libraries somehow import other libraries. It's like turtles all the way down until you go to the standard library, and it always checks that it's not somebody hid inside some secret library that is actually not what it says, not doing what it should be doing. A mechanism that exists in some languages and doesn't exist in others, but it's very useful to have in Go because it makes sure you're using what you're supposed to be or what you're communicated that you're using. So we talked about Go, we talked about how it's secure. The next good question is Go and AI and InfoSec are a good cross. How about vibe coding in Go? I say AI-generated Go code is more consistent and more safe on average, thanks to all the features that we have mentioned. Plus, very recent updates, this is from like 2 weeks ago, from the beginning of the month, the agent development kit of Google was announced that now it supports Go. So if you are convinced by now and want to try building something agentic with Go, it's easier for you. Plus, the MCP has now, or since a while, a proper Go SDK, and this is maintained by the Go team, so it's guaranteed to you that this is safe and smart SDK for you if you want to use Go with build anything MCP with your agents. So it's safe, it's reliable, it's easy to read, it's well generated, and it's also easy to use with everything AI related. We have an app, and we want to deploy that. Who are you gonna call? On the same melody, Google Cloud Platform. Let's try to deploy that on GCP. There's a very easy start if you wanna use something like Cloud Run, and this lovely sketch note was generated by, or was made by Priyanka Vergadia, and it lists all the different features of the Google Cloud Platform that makes it secure and good choice, let's say, for deploying things. I'll cover some of that quite quickly. It has default encryption, the virtual private cloud service controls isolates everything and makes sure that there's no data exfiltration. There is a good access control. There are the cloud armor, which keeps you safe against DDoS attacks, for example. Binary authorization makes sure that only signed containers can run. There is secure boot and shielded VMs. A secret manager that is centralized and, of course, encrypted. There is an audit log that makes sure that every access is being registered and it's also immutable. Zero trust, of course. There's a data loss prevention API and many other good features. But who heard of this report? It's also from like last week. One hand, two hands. Anthropic, the makers of Claude, released a report that describes what they have observed in what is recognized as the largest AI-based cyber attack so far. So they have recognized in the usage of Claude a specific set of patterns, let's say, that they definitely associate with a very large cyber attack that was happening mostly on different US entities. And they list all the different features and observations in this report. And probably this thing will lead in some way to a bunch of good guardrails and recommendations. So this field of AI and security is really in the making right now. Everything is happening, everything is still interesting, it's quite fresh, and I would definitely say look into that. And this is an interesting screenshot of some VC that said that these are the recognized companies in the cross-section of AI and security. And it's here not to pitch them, but actually to look at what are those categories. For example, under model governance, there is model observability, there is a Gen AI app discovery, there is AI discovery, model supply chain, there's prompt TLP, AI guardrails, and whatnot. So kind of every little part of the AI cross-security becomes a company. So fun and interesting moving field. To summarize, we got to know each other a little bit. We got to know vibe coding, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We got to know Go code. We got to know the different cross sections, Go and AI and InfoSec and GCP and whatnot. And to summarize, vibe coding is a great choice when you want to for Go, or Go is a great choice for vibe coding. And even better, AI assistant coding with Go. And I will finish with this slide where I gave Nano Banano my talk title and nothing else. And I said, generate me one sketch note, what do you think? And it kind of did it 3 parts. The problems of vibe coding, unexpected, debugging, weird, and so on. The Go principles, simple, concurrency, great error handling, and so on. Outcome, safer vibes. So the AI and I think it's a great choice. Thank you very much.